So thank you. Welcome to the Culture of Care Summit. We're so excited to be here today.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to our Culture of Care presentation on We Support You, empowering students with writing and research resources. In this session, we're going to discuss how to leverage writing and research resources in the curriculum, course announcements, and outreach efforts to cultivate a culture of care in your classroom. Next slide. My name is Jennifer Dunn, and I work as a curriculum writing consultant and as adjunct English faculty at UAGC.
And I'm Karen Menti. I'm a librarian here at UAGC. I'm the outreach librarian, and I serve as the library liaison to the Forbes School of Business and Technology. We're here today representing our team, the Learning Support Team, and we brand our services SupportU. That constitutes the Writing Center, the library, and subject tutoring at UAGC. And a bit about the demographics at our institution. For anyone here who may not be from UAGC or not familiar with our student body, our learners are overwhelmingly non-traditional students. We're 100% online. We're predominantly female. 3/4 of students work full-time. Our students' ethnicity and racial identities break down to being predominantly people of color, Hispanic, Latina, or 30% Black or African American, and 40% white or Caucasian. We also have an average student body age of 35 years old. Over a quarter of our students are military affiliated, and over a third, 37%, are first-generation college students. So these demographics point to learners who have had systemic disadvantages. They point to older adult students with lots going on in their lives. We're talking about non-traditional learners, and research shows that today's non-traditional learners have unique needs. They are self-directed. They're short on time. They don't always wish to reveal what they don't know. This can be especially painful around writing and research, as you'll see today. These things that can be considered quote unquote basic skills at the college level, they're less likely to seek out tutoring services, again, because they don't always want to be seen as vulnerable because of learning gaps. And our students also face many economic challenges. Next slide, please. So because we serve non-traditional students in a strictly online environment, our aim is to embed resources to support equity in the online classroom and to provide many different modalities for our students to get help. Our learners have lives. They are busy with work and families. They play important roles in their communities. And so by us aiming to meet them with our supports where they are at, whenever they need it, is the basis for our role in supporting the culture of care. And we do this in a number of ways. First, course development. The Library and Writing Center are fully integrated in the course development process, which, as you'll see in more detail today, allows us the opportunity to build student supports for writing and research directly into the course curriculum at the point of need, so that most of our students won't need to seek out individualized supports. We also add an extra layer of writing support by things like our paper review service, in which students can submit a paper for review by an actual human writing expert who gets back to them within 24 hours with specific advice on how to improve their papers. And of course, Grammarly is it's an AI tool that automatically will respond to whatever they're writing with tips to improve grammar, and it teaches the grammar process as you go along. We also offer asynchronous help on our Writing Center and library websites for students to connect with resources such as guides and tutorials, other materials for them to self-direct their learning in research and writing. But I think most importantly, we provide an extra layer of support through 24/7 live librarian tutoring and live writing tutoring, where students can work with a live human librarian, live human writing expert. I keep saying live human, but in an online learning environment, this ability to connect one-on-one with a human to nurture and expand their online learning environment. That's really a central feature of what our SupportU team strives for. Next slide, please.
Now, this just brings us to the backbone of everything that we do, incorporating a culture of care into our methodology. And this informs the development of all of our supports for learning resources. First, when we offer writing resources to students who are struggling with written assignments in any course, we are creating and supporting a culture of care by demonstrating that we understand our students' academic and personal needs, and we're promoting inclusion. Providing resources to students at the point of need in the curriculum empowers students to self-advocate for their own success, and they can access help without revealing to other classmates or instructors that they don't understand something. We can help faculty and staff achieve several key pillars of the culture of care. We create content to make it easier for faculty to communicate to students about our supports, whether embedded in the course at the point of need through HTML announcements or through Signals templates. We empower students with supportive resources designed to build their information literacy, critical thinking, and communication skills. And students can interact with our learning supports in a way that suits their needs, and that empowers self-advocacy. Providing resources in the online classroom focuses on student-centered learning and success by meeting students where they are in their learning, rather than expecting them to enter college possessing every prerequisite skill.
Yeah, we're cultivating resiliency through building a sense of belonging and self-efficacy. We meet students where they are with empathy and helping them build confidence in college writing and research. Next slide, please. So Jennifer and I are talking a lot today about what we call the hidden curriculum. And this is a term first coined by Sam Bell and McDowell in 1998. And it refers to, quote, what is implicit and embedded in educational experiences in contrast with the formal statements about curricula. So what this means for non-traditional students, like students at UAGC, many of whom might have had a break from school for a long time, they might be veterans in the military or currently enrolled in the military, they have dependents, they have full-time jobs, they might be first-generation college students or come from generational poverty. This hidden curriculum can mean that some of those less tangible skills, what Jennifer and I are terming on this slide academic success skills. So things like study skills, being able to just advocate for one's own interests, understanding things like academic integrity and what that means, how to approach and plan for your assignments. These kinds of skills are often assumed at the college level. And we believe that recognizing that students may lack these skills plays an important role in the culture of care. What the hidden curriculum can feel like for students is that they missed out on some crucial lesson somewhere along the way. And that does the opposite of creating a sense of belonging for our students. So by embedding resources in the course that speak to these skills, we're leveling the playing field for students because everyone can benefit from building this knowledge. Next slide, please.
The Learning Support Team has many resources for students who enter college without academic skills to address this hidden curriculum, because those implicit skills that students need for academic success. The SupportU toolkit and the Which Academic Support Should I Use interactive guides help students to learn about all of the learning support services available to them during their time at UAGC. We also offer a resource on how to prepare for a tutoring session and on how to understand your assignment. We also offer the research paper time management plan to help students learn to manage their study time while working toward their degree. These resources can be provided to students through announcements, signals messages, or as a supplement to a class discussion.
And we provide a few different ways for our instructions to get the word out to students about these supports. This happens primarily through either the course development process or through HTML announcements that we craft and provide to instructors. For example, if in the course development process, we know that students will be responsible for a 10-page research paper in week 5 or 6 of their course, then while we're involved in the course development process, we might advocate for linking to a resource like the research paper time management plan, along with week 1 or week 2, so that students can begin planning ahead for what's to come. Next slide, please. Now, information literacy is a topic that librarians like myself and educators were well versed in information literacy. Things like understanding information-seeking behavior, the ability to evaluate sources for information needs, verifying information, understanding that different types of information have different values, and just understanding the scholarly research process. So it's easy for me to forget sometimes, because I spend all day, every day doing scholarly research, that this can be quite a leap for anyone, especially when we live in such an information-rich environment. And our main tools for navigating this information landscape tend to be a few select media companies, a few specific search engines. So learners need the skills to understand information and just the wild west that's out there in order to approach the research process. But of course, these skills aren't readily taught. So in a fast-paced online learning environment like we have at UAGC, applying the culture of care to information literacy instruction can mean slowing things down a bit, remembering that students might not know how to even begin the research process or what those steps involve. Things like keyword searching, refining their results, evaluating information, selecting sources, and then synthesizing it all into an argument with their writing that incorporates their own unique voice. Next slide, please. So examples of our research that can carefully support students in building these information literacy skills include things like the tip sheet on potential pitfalls of searching Google, which explains why the place that we've come to trust for all our information needs is not the best place for academic research. Along the same lines, the hierarchy of sources tip sheet explains the difference between peer-reviewed, scholarly, and credible research, and how to find each of these in the library databases. CRAPO is our guide for evaluating information online. It breaks down the critical thinking process with the acronym CRAPO: currency, relevancy, authority, accuracy, purpose, and objectivity. How to read a scholarly article is a literal roadmap for efficiently evaluating scholarly research to see if it's useful for your writing. And we also have our advanced search techniques tip sheets that build research skills both in the library and outside the library, like on Google. Because while we want students to feel empowered using the library while they're here at UAGC, we also, some might say more importantly, we want them to be equipped with digital skills that enable them to be lifelong learners and critical consumers of information out in that Wild West that is the World Wide Web. And I love so much being able to show students tricks to using the advanced search features of Google, just to make their searches on there more efficient, their results more relevant and reliable. It always blows their minds, and it really empowers them with more control over this ubiquitous and somewhat problematic tool of Google, problematic in the way that it returns results. So it gives them more control in an otherwise overwhelming world of information. Next slide, please.
What great resources those were, Karen. So moving on, the students may have learning gaps in past educational experiences and may not be prepared for many expected skills in academic writing. They may be new to academic voice or organizing paper or to APA formatting conventions, or they may have just forgotten or never learned basic writing skills, as well as how to avoid plagiarism or even what plagiarism is. So to address these learning gaps, faculty can proactively post HTML announcements in their classrooms if they notice trends in learning gaps. If an issue is student specific, an outreach email via signals may be a more personal approach to reaching students with academic skill gaps. By proactively providing resources for writing skills, we can demonstrate that we understand student challenges and the academic support that they need to be successful and further build that culture of care. Next slide, please. The Writing Center offers many supportive writing resources for students who are emerging writers, such as how to write in an academic voice, how to write a research paper, and writing skills refreshers. We have a resource on how to install and use the Grammarly app, as well as how to request a tutoring session and how to avoid plagiarism. Faculty can provide these student-centered resources to students who demonstrate learning gaps through outreach, course announcements, or embedded within the course curriculum during the course development process. Next slide, please.
And this topic, of course, is a very sort of a buzzy idea, but it's something that we've been really working hard on just in the last 6 months to a year. AI literacy. Now, this is an evolving idea, but by investigating in the seminal research from just the last few years on this topic, for example, I cited here Long and McGurko, 2020, and that's how we begin to see a framework emerging in higher education to guide teaching AI literacy skills to students. You know, we get a lot of questions from students and really a lot of fear around artificial intelligence, you know, not understanding what the tools are, what their limitations are, what their capabilities are, and, you know, letting students feel empowered to explore these tools, but knowing the ethical lines involved in using these tools for scholarly research to help their independent research. So this framework that we're talking about is, you know, understanding questions like, what is AI? Recognizing AI, understanding how it works. What can it do? Understanding its capabilities and its limitations. What should it do? Understanding the ethics and impacts and privacy concerns with AI tools. How well does it do what it does? You know, assessing and evaluating generative AI. And then, of course, how do people perceive AI? Navigating discussions around AI, understanding the attitudes. So as educators, we share a goal and a responsibility to teach students to be competent using these tools. It's becoming a recommended tool for the 21st century digital workplace. So students need to be able to think critically about these technologies. It's so quickly shaping our relationship with work, with learning, and with research and writing. So next, on the next slide, you'll see this is an area we're evolving in. We're constantly looking for new resources to create and to update our existing resources. As the landscape and the attitudes toward AI, they're changing in real time. The ground is shifting under our feet. Both faculty and students have a myriad of differing attitudes, differing comfort levels, and pain points around AI. And the frameworks that we use are constantly shifting too, to make sense of these new tools and their applications for research and writing.
Yeah, and regardless of how we feel about AI, students are finding and using these resources. So it really makes sense to provide guidance around the use of these tools, the ethical use of these tools, rather than advising against their use or ignoring their existence altogether. With this in mind, the Writing Center has several supportive resources to help faculty guide students in the effective and ethical use of AI in academic writing. And we have a resource detailing the general do's and don'ts of using AI to support academic work, and a resource for effectively using generative AI for writing and research. Now, by providing these resources proactively, we can empower students with the skills they need to thrive within this rapidly transforming academic and professional landscape. The next slide, please. In addition to AI, students attending a UAGC may face personal barriers to success. Students may be entering school with writing and research anxiety. Parent or military students may grapple with serious time management challenges, juggling work, family, and school. And students may face financial barriers to success, which can affect retention rates. Our team offers resources to support some of these personal issues that affect academic retention and success rates. Now, our resources are part of a holistic approach to reaching students with personal challenges, in conjunction, of course, with the efforts of faculty and academic staff. Next slide, please.
So, writing and research anxiety. Some of the causes that we see with this is, for one, library anxiety. This was a theory first developed by Constance Mellon in 1986. Yet the research still points to the same trends persisting even with the 21st century digital libraries that we have today. And factors involved in library anxiety tend to be things like confidence using the library, general anxiety or barriers concerning staff, biases, importance of understanding how to use the library and why it's important to use the library. Technology plays a big factor, especially in an online library, and just a feeling of belonging or not in the library environment. I can speak to this, and moving to an online library, especially an academic library. When I started as an academic librarian, before UAGC, I was in public libraries, and it was very scary to move to a totally online environment and an academic database. I had these feelings of imposter syndrome. It took me at least a year to get over the feeling of everyone's smarter than me, everyone knows how to do this already. It's something that happens to us all, I think, when we're confronted with a library, a little bit of anxiety. Jennifer, do you have more to say?
When you're at the helm.
And slowly getting better, but it still crops up sometimes. Did you have more you wanted to add on this slide, Jennifer?
A little bit more, yeah. That's okay. Some students may be embarrassed that they don't know or don't remember how to write effectively, or they may be too ashamed to ask for help. So we can address this by proactively providing resources so that students can anonymously seek guidance. Students may have had poor past experiences or even trauma around writing or any aspect of their educational experience. They may have worked with unsupportive teachers in the past, certainly not at UAGC, but in the past, who may have even berated their students, resulting in lasting negative associations. And other personal experiences can affect how students perceive academic tasks as well. For example, if a student has been told that they're not smart, they may believe that and may be even more ashamed to ask for help. Another common fear is the fear of the unknown. If a student is new to academic work, they may not know the academic expectations of college. So we can help ease this anxiety by providing robust resources to clearly guide students in academic writing expectations. Okay, I think we're ready for the next slide now. A few resources that may help students with writing anxiety are the Overcoming Writer's Block, Writing a Research Paper, and information about our paper review and tutoring services available 24/7 to guide students when they need it. There's also a pending video and HTML announcement specifically for writing anxiety that was created as part of a recent university fellowship project. So stay tuned for those resources and information about those resources coming soon. Providing resources on writing and research anxiety demonstrates to students that we see them and understand their concerns. And this fosters a sense of inclusion in the classroom so students don't feel like they're the only ones grappling with academic anxiety.
And as far as in the library, by far, the one I want to spend the most time on emphasizing to you, along with building a culture of care, one of the greatest resources a student can rely on to overcome anxiety is a librarian. And I swear I'm not just saying that because I am one, but simply because empathy is a core value of our profession. We are trained in being empathetic as we help people seek out information of all kinds. And our reference interactions with your students can provide us the greatest opportunity to demonstrate a culture of care. I especially love this opportunity with our phone reference hotline. It provides direct communication, the C in the pillar of culture of care. We can use our voice to soothe students They can just talk to a human being that's saying, I hear you, I understand where you're at. And we get students that call about all sorts of issues, not just research. So it's just a nice way to connect with students and let them feel heard. And we librarians, we're great at modeling failure for students. A secret about us is that we love when our first searches while we're working with a student don't go well. As frustrating as that can be, we take a moment to show the student, yep, this is normal. I put in some keywords and I got nothing relevant. Research can be so frustrating. And I'm the so-called expert, and see, it's tough for me too. Welcome to the club. Now let's keep trying. What can we do differently to see if we get different results? Also, the A in the pillars, we can advocate for them. You know, the other day I was on a phone call with a student who was having trouble logging into a folder in her library. I was able to do a conference call with her and our library vendor, EBSCO, because I knew she was pressed for time. I knew she'd already been struggling with this issue for a while. So we can empower them by advocating for them, and we can guide them step by step through the research process. We can make sure to coach them along the way, asking questions like, what do you see from these results? What's a change we could make to help you find what you're looking for? Many students see our library and register it as being complicated and overwrought, but our goal is, instead of them saying, I've never used a library like this before, it's too hard, this isn't for me, saying, I've never used a library like this before, but I understand it's a necessary step in getting my degree. How can I get help with this? Next slide, please. This is a big one. We hear from all students, and I think many of us can relate to time management challenges, housework and chores, procrastination, the time suck of social media, juggling work schedules, kid schedules. Our adult students have a lot of competing priorities, and they may not know how to schedule academic work or prioritize their academic tasks. While we can't give students more time in their day, we can help them schedule and plan their academic work.
I so wish we could offer more time in the day, but alas, we cannot. So with that in mind, the Writing Center offers the Research Time Management Plan resource to help students plan to write their academic papers. Students also have access to the 24/7 tutoring and paper review service for students. So these services are available when students need them on their schedules, which may sometimes be in the wee hours of morning. And these tutoring services may help students who are time-strapped and may help, to get them over that finish line despite their challenging schedules. Next slide, please.
This, I'm excited to share. We talk about writing and research resources. This is more than a resource. It is an initiative that we're doing here at UAGC, and it's to help address some of the financial barriers that our students are up against. And it has a real effect on retention and completion, because students with less financial burden have a greater chance of retention and completion. According to a 2021 critical research study focusing on adults with college credits who dropped out, 42% cited financial reasons. So, when looking at the costs that students have to pay, in the library, along with our learning resources team, we saw a real opportunity to, it's our library OER resources project. And what we are doing with this project is targeting our highest impact courses, seeing what courses most students are enrolled in, where we can have the greatest impact. We investigate in these courses if the library can purchase the textbook. We can offset some of that cost to our students. If we're not able to purchase the textbook, we can see if a suitable replacement is available. And then we can supplement courses with library resources and OER where appropriate. Next slide, please. So this library OER textbook project, we've managed so far, I'm excited to say, over $95,000 we've saved students in their textbook fees to date. And this is ongoing. This number has probably changed since I made these slides. because we've incorporated it directly into the course development process. And now we do all we can to try and find the best option for books that still meet the needs of the course, but can also save students money. And we have a tip sheet here. We encourage instructors to work directly with us to find things like maybe possible OER options or something that we already have in the library or could easily get. And just pursuing other ways of, maybe instead of using one textbook, we use multiple books that are available in the library. And it's been an exciting project to be part of because we see the effects, in the dollar amounts that students have to pay for their education. So we're excited about it.
So to summarize, in this presentation, we've discussed our strategies for using learning supports to foster a culture of care. And now we would like to find out how you may be using academic resources to demonstrate care for your students.
The culture of care, it works because it's a framework that we can all apply, no matter what role we play at UAGC or at your own institution. And it means demonstrating care and extending empathy to yourself, to your colleagues, and most importantly, to students. For the SupportU team, it means creating resources that center our students and their many varied experiences and challenges with college research and writing.
How could you use research or writing resources to support a culture of care in your classroom? We would really love it if you would share your strategies in the chat. We would like to learn from you how you are currently using resources to support your students with their written assignments, or to share ideas how you could use them.
And feel free, we've only got a few minutes left. So while you're thinking of ways you can, maybe you've applied culture of care in your classroom or other ideas, feel free to ask any questions that you have. Next slide.
Kimberly says that she's created waypoint comments with links to Writing Center supports.
I love that.
That's a wonderful use of all of our resources. I don't know, would you mind sharing if you've had good results from those? Or have you heard any feedback from students or? Oh, we have a graduate student with no students just yet.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, hi.
Okay, this is Kimberly. I've actually gotten some student feedback on that my feedback was very comprehensive. I'm taking to the APA page, but I also use things like how to provide evidence and how to analyze a source, not just summarize. And so those are a few of the resources that I use constantly. And even before I went full-time at UAGC, I was always referring at other universities people back to our writing center because it was better than the ones at the university I was teaching at. So kudos, the resources are really amazing.
Thank you so much. That's wonderful feedback.
So nice to hear.
Jennifer, can I just say something here real quick? I absolutely love your presentation, and the thing that I like the most about this is it's organized, it's easy to follow, it's so turnkey. And as Karen was talking about empathy, tone, supporting students, lifting them, building their confidence level, you live that every day. I mean, you live this CARE acronym every day. Your entire team does, I can tell, and we all try to. And I think it's a wonderful acronym to look at that. One of the things as an adult learner, when I returned back to school after being away for 20 years, now I'm going back in the 90s, but when I came back there, one of the things that I struggled from, and of course you're talking about imposter syndrome. I mean, I never thought I had that, but I had anxiety with the writing piece, even though I was an adult learner coming in and skilled in business. I said, what kind of paper do I write? How do I do this? That kind of thing. And if it wasn't for people like you, I wouldn't have gotten through that. But it took me some time to build that confidence. And one of the things I knew that was missing was the, how to outline body paragraphs, and it all kind of came, and I don't consider myself necessarily an expert, but I'm not bad. With a little help from my friends, Karen and you and everybody, every time I get in a jam, I'll go to you. But anyway, here's my recommendation. I understand why students leave the university and so forth, and you're probably exploring this, but I'm not saying that we don't do it right with the gen eds and what we do and how we build. I think there's important to have goals and, get them connected. But this could almost be a course. This could almost be a 2-week library course. When I look at your teaching abilities, when I was listening to your tone, your pace, you could almost take segments of this and create a 3-week course or something and give them a credit or something, because I think there's a lot of value in taking that fear away, and that first impressions are lasting. And so I don't know, what the university thinks of and how we do it. I mean, we're so innovative. We've done wonderful, wonderful things, and I'm not taking anything away from that. But I just know as a sales marketing professional that you set the tone here. This is something that any kind of adult learner coming in that is stressed or distressed or already succeeding, want to get to the next level. What hit my radar here was, I would have loved to had a course like this coming in to talk to people like you, to say, hey, you know what my fear is? I'm scared to death of writing. Can you help me? And then to hear your voice and organize me and so forth. So I just wanted to mention that for what it's worth. I put a lot of your links in my courses. I took the one you did on the writing the paper. We put that in as a permanent announcement in some of the courses that I own and so forth. But you're great teachers is what I'm trying to say. And I think the more we exploit that without students having to try to find you through other people, I just think there's some kind of need for some kind of course like this. That's my 2 cents, and I hope that's helpful.
That is so kind of you to say, Bill. Thank you. And I love that idea. It's definitely, I appreciate you making a suggestion like that. And it's something we can talk about and look at. Thank you.
Hey everyone, I'm Dan Augusto. I'm one of the co-facilitators on this along with Colin Fair. We're at our 5-minute mark until this is going to get wrapped up. And so this is the point where we ask everyone, if you have any questions or comments, you can chime in audio, video wise, or you can throw them in the chat and I will relay them. We've got one already from Colin and saying it would make a huge difference in later classes if students took a class that was all about the hidden curriculum at the beginning of their program. And I actually took a course on that too on one of my programs, and I completely agree with that. That's a pretty good idea.
That's a great suggestion. I will say that we've worked a lot over the years. I say we, mostly I will say Anna Uribe in the library with the Gen 103 course, working closely with faculty to really provide a lot of learning experiences that enable students to really intentionally use the library services. And it can help a lot if students don't want to be vulnerable by asking for help. It's part of the requirements for the course that they seek out our services. So that's a nice way to kind of level the playing field there. But I definitely think we can always do more in that respect.
One of the prior sessions mentioned that, and I may be misattributing this to socioeconomic status, but I thought he was referencing lower socioeconomic status is going to tend to communicate audio more than in writing. And so I could see that being with our group of students. I could see us giving feedback on this is how you improve your writing, and that just, not hitting home. And I think that the fact that people can interact with y'all one-to-one is probably a really beneficial thing that kind of opens the door to understanding that we probably, in a lot of cases, aren't getting to using writing. Looking
well
for
said,
other.
Dan. Yeah.
I appreciate that so much, because in the day of AI, we want to keep the sense of connection to a person too. We want the best of both worlds. So that's really nice to hear. And I agree. There's nothing like, to ease your anxiety, there's nothing like talking to a real person who understands your struggles and can give you guidance.
Yeah, seriously. I know I've been through that. before. We are down to, oh, we're down to 1 minute. Okay. So I think that's about it. Do y'all want to close? Does anyone want to close with any comments real quick before we wrap this up?
I am going to drop our email addresses in the chat just in case anybody has any questions for library or writing center. You can always reach out to us. Any questions or comments, or we've had some great suggestions here for ways we can bolster our resources and just our access to students. So thank you all so much. Enjoy the rest of the summit. Thank you.
Yeah.